Today, I want to talk to you about the hardest thing I've ever had to do in photography, hands down. So make sure you stick around. Before you do, you probably can't smell it. The door behind me was so squeaky that I decided I had to unleash half a can of this on it, which solved the problem of the door, and it's made me jolly happy in a way that it shouldn't because of the fumes that are just milling around. Onto the task ahead. Well, we need to rewind, and I need to take you through a little bit of a journey in order to get to this place. So, let's do it. Today we're unboxing something very cool that I then want to learn how to use and then use in a short film to talk about something really cool. How sick's that? This is the Moza Air 2 Professional Camera Stabilization System, or as we like to call, a gimbal. What's a gimbal, you say? A gimbal's what you stick your camera onto, and then you can do anything you like with it, and the camera stays still. So when you're doing like shots of panning shots, or you're moving toward people, instead of your camera getting the shakes with you, it actually stays super smooth. And apparently these things are impossible to set up first time. So you guys want to see it before I see it? Oh, I hope it doesn't fall out. Wow, right? Smack myself in the mouth. There she is. This is going to be a lot of fun. Stick around. How about I pull it out of the box and then we jump to a time lapse. That means the 4 hours it's going to take me to learn how to do this, you can see in about, what, 4 seconds. Getting this beast to work is the hardest thing I've ever had to do in photography. And let me tell you why. Because there's a couple of things that if you're thinking about buying a gimbal that you should probably know that no one seemed to tell me. I looked everywhere. I did a lot of research. The research said that the Moza Air 2, pick it up there, the Moza Air 2 is the way to go if you want a budget gimbal. You can spend a lot of money on these things. A gimbal enables you to move along without getting shake or doing this, providing you practice a lot, like a lot. Now, basic breakdown on how this puppy works. You've got a plate here, plate comes off. That's the plate that fits on your camera. When it's on your camera, you clunk it in here. It does sound cool. It just sounds like you're like going on a mission. And then what happens is you face it away from you. Yeah, again, I put the camera on the wrong way and it didn't work. So anyway, you face it away from you. You then put your camera on here and you have to balance. You have to balance this point. You have to balance at this point. You have to balance at this point. You also have to balance at this, where are we? This point. It's hard work. You can do it, but take your time, breathe deeply. Then, once it had that all balanced, and believe me, with my Nikon Z6, it was a challenge, but we finally got there. There's no reason why this camera should have been a challenge, but it was a challenge nonetheless. And then they got this little cable that that you plug in to the camera. And this is the Nikon cable, right? And this is the little converter that doesn't come with it. So took 6 weeks for me to get sent one of these by a distributor who will remain nameless, but may rhyme with you put this in here and then it can actually plug into your camera. So well worth thinking about before you get it. If you're buying this to go, I need a gimbal in a hurry, do not buy it, because it takes ages to learn how to use it, which I had no idea about, and there's other accessories which you need. Plugging this in basically means you can control the whole camera from here. It's really cool, and you can make it do all sorts of things. You can wave it around and up and down, and no, you really want to see it? Thanks a lot. Okay, be right back. I thought I would say that I'm not going to do a full setup video. There's much more proficient professionals who have done it. I'll put some of the things below. But what you do want to do is you make sure that every setting that you're going to use on your camera is ready to go before you attach it to the gimbal. So the Z6 has, you take the lens cap off, because that will, it's another weight thing. You open it up and you go, if you're using a zoom lens, you go to the average of what you think you're going to go. So this is the 24-70, so if I said about a 35, that's average weight. You basically want to check your batteries. You can't change them once it's in. You want to make sure your card's in there. Don't load it, no card, see? Good thinking. And that it has all the things on it and off it that you are gonna take on and off it. You don't want to do that. You also want to, if you're going to use your screen like this, you know, depending on what your camera is, depends what the screen does, you want to pull that out and position that so it's in the position that you want it in when you're using it on here. Otherwise you pull that out and it weights it back here. You see what I mean? And it affects the efficiency of the gimbal. All right, well, let's try again. And we're back. It's on. It actually didn't take that long. Then when it's all on and you think it's balanced, and you balance each axis at a time, you then turn your camera on, then you turn the gimbal on. Look at that. And watch this. So I can go this way, I can go this way, I can go down, and go up. And then I can change all the settings on this to change my aperture, my shutter speed, and my ISO without ever having to touch the camera. So it doesn't get mucked up, it doesn't get distorted or unbalanced and so forth. Then you change, I use a touch screen. If you haven't got a touch screen, I would try and get your settings right before. So what speed video, what frame rate, what type of video are you taking, get that sorted beforehand. Get your color profiles all dialed in before you mount it to this. And then what happens is you start using it and you go, all of a sudden I have no idea what I'm doing. Let me speak into a couple of things that I didn't realize before buying a gimbal. One is it takes time to learn before you go out in a shoot. Take the time, because it is so frustrating if you don't know what you're doing. And when you get out there and you're amongst people who expect you to know what you're doing, it becomes an issue. I did a real estate shoot where I put on my wide lens. This is a Tamron. It's a 15-30 on a full frame. It's real wide. It's super heavy. You need an adapter that sits on. And so compared to this lens, it is a monster, an absolute monster. Balancing it was just really tricky, really tough. And once you got it balanced, you don't want to stuff it up or move it around. So practice. I practiced for ages before I went out, because I did not want to be embarrassed when my gimbal didn't work. The other thing to note is when you put it in its case is just here. You saw the case on the unwrap. You've got to completely disassemble it, the balancing of it. So you take it all out and it kind of clunks down and goes in the case, which is really, really nice. As you do that, you have to rebalance it when you get to where you're going. So I just took it with my camera on like this, had it safe in the car. saved me literally half an hour, and the pressure of doing it with other people expecting you to know what's going on. Battery life is really, really good. 16 hours, so longer than you'll ever need, except it takes like forever to charge them. It took like 12 hours. I don't know if it was because it was the first charge. Just be aware, it's not a quick job. My research told me it would take 4 hours. It easily took 12. It probably took longer. So just be aware of that. These are incredible pieces of machinery. You change the direction the camera faces by manipulating the handle direction, but you can also use this knob or the joystick to actually make the camera do whatever you want. You can do inception mode, where everything turns into a dream upon a dream upon a dream. You can do inception mode, where you can shoot like straight forward. You can do underarm or overarching or underarm or under, where you just flick it up so it's actually upside down. You can carry it close. It's so good for smooth images and capturing them. Just be aware that you don't just plug it in and away you go. You learn how to do it, and it is sort of a steep learning curve that I am yet to master. However, I feel a lot more confident with it, and thought I would give you this because I'm sure in future videos I will fill in a bit more about the gimbal and how it works and how I've enjoyed it. I'll put some videos in the description that I found really, really helpful, and if you need it, if it's going to complement what you do, if you're going to use it a lot, I think it's worth the investment. It does things that you can't do otherwise. Stabilization as you walk, as you move, as you pan around. It's just incredible. You can move in, pan round, and it holds the image really, really still. There's so much still to learn, but I wanted to share this with you because so many of the videos you see the final product of someone who is well versed in the technology, and you can get frustrated and think it's just you, when actually it's just a learning curve. Don't get frustrated. Give yourself some grace, some patience, some kindness. Keep learning at it. Keep pushing into it. Make sure you haven't got any pressure deadlines that you have to get this thing sorted by. And you'll find that you can grow in your competency really quickly. Thanks for watching. I so hope you enjoyed this, that you got a little bit out of it, that you were even entertained. If you're buying a gimbal, I think they're made to make us go crazy. So just go with it. If you like the video, subscribe, hit the bell, tell everyone you know about this channel. That's way lame. Don't do that. You can do that if you want, but not because I said do it. Just sounds lame. All right, see ya.